Layfield here with my General Gian. People ask me all the time that watch our podcast, what is that huge statue behind you? So I'm going to tell you about it. It is obviously, I'm standing here, I'm barefoot, I'm about 6'6" taller. I used to be. So the General here is about 6'10" or 7 foot. It's about 300 or 400 pounds. It's a replica of the main general of the Terracotta Warriors back in late 1990s, early 2000s, something like that. We finished up, WWE did, for the Christmas season in Seattle or Vancouver, one of the two. So we had about 7 to 10 days off, and I always wanted to go see China. So I flew over to Beijing, spent about a week there, but then I went to Xi'an, China, which the only thing there is the Terracotta Warriors, one of the greatest archaeological discoveries, certainly of my lifetime. And the thousands and thousands of these soldiers, all the same height. There's horses, chariots. It's massive, all different faces, all different looks. And I got to meet the man who found the discovery on his farmland back in 1974, Mr. Yang. Now, he didn't speak any English. I didn't speak any Chinese. I was the only one there, so we tried to have a conversation, but it's like talking to somebody from Oklahoma. You know, they don't speak English very well either, so I understand how tough it can be. But this man, I was traveling with some guys who were my guides, and I said, so the government took care of him. And they said, oh, yeah, took care of him. I said, well, what did they give him for the land? They go, oh, they took care of him. Turned out it was 51. It was about $7.50 for the biggest discovery since just about the pyramids. So they figured out he was a marketing tool to sign books there. And so now he's making more money than he ever made before. He's getting like $1 or $2 a book. But there's no one in line. So as I'm there, I'm looking through the book, and I can tell I'm very excited to meet him. And as I walked out, I slipped him, I can't remember what it was, $20 or $50, something like that. Not a lot of money, but several times what he got paid for his entire property for this discovery. And after they discovered it, they pulled up this whole thing. It became this huge tourist attraction. As I'm leaving, because it's a tourist attraction, a guy said, you want to buy a replica of one of the generals? And I said, well, I'd love to. How much is it? $750. I don't want to give this guy cash because I don't think I will ever see anything in return because they're going to ship it to me. I give him a credit card. I was scared to death. I just figured it was going to be fraud. He says, okay, it'll be at your home in 2 or 3 months. About 2 or 3 months later, I get a bill in Hong Kong for taxes. Wasn't much, $100, $125. A month or two later, I get a bill in Tokyo for taxes, LA, and then Dallas for transportation costs. I finally get it about 9 months later. Looked like a huge telephone booth because this thing is huge. But I end up with the general there in my possession and at my home. And so I've had this thing ever since. One of the best, by far, tourist memorabilia that I've ever bought anywhere. I'm so glad that I bought it. And I found out later that Mr. Brisco actually wrestled the emperor. They had a statue of it, but I didn't want to have a statue of Mr. Brisco in my home. I thought that would be kind of weird, so I didn't buy that one. But the reason it was not discovered for so long was that everybody who worked on it was buried alive in the tomb, so that no one had any knowledge of it. They had about 3,000 concubines that were of either the workers of his or whatever else. They were all killed and buried, so thousands of people were killed to protect this mystery. One of the greatest archaeological discoveries. It was cool to go see. It was a lot of fun. And now I've got this General Xi'an who has been Texified in my home.